Hey everybody, Card Scout here with another video. Today, I am going to do a video on the 4 reasons why the sports card market is not going to crash in the next 24 to 36 months like Vegas Dave said it would. If you don't know about Vegas Dave, give you a little backstory. He's a professional sports picker, I would call him. He used to be a bettor, but long story short, he ended up creating a business where he makes picks every day. He charges about $1,000 a pick. So his job is to basically watch sports and make bets for people. He got into the sports card hobby, and this is how he got relevant in sports cards a couple years ago, because he decided to invest in Mike Trout, which was a great investment for him. He invested in Mike Trout because someone told him to, which I will get to shortly. But he ended up selling one of the Mike Trouts for a record high for any sports card period. That became national news. He just recently, a couple weeks ago, if you're really into the sports card game, you've probably seen him bust a box of 86, 87 Fleer, which you can pull a Michael rookie in. So that's kind of like how he's become like a household name in the sports card world. But let me start with the number one reason why I do not think Vegas Dave is right about the demise and crash of the sports card industry. Number one, Vegas Dave doesn't know crap about sports cards or the industry. Vegas Dave became aware of the sports card industries a couple years ago. You can get this information from the YouTube videos that he's posted on his account. Vegas Dave said he was at a card show and he had spoke to someone who invested a lot of money in cards, and that person told him that Mike Trout is the move. Now, I give him credit for talking to the right person and getting good advice from someone that obviously knew what they're doing, because he was correct. Mike Trout was a great guy to invest in. But what you can see from this is Vegas Dave said it himself. This didn't come from him. This came from another guy who knew the industry, who had probably been a collector for a long time, who gave him this advice. Vegas Dave then goes ahead and invests millions, like a good amount of money, into Mike Trout. He did corner the market, like he said. His marketing and his kind of monopolizing the Mike Trout Bowman Chrome market definitely had a huge part, I believe, into why the prices were so high when he did sell. But again, Vegas Dave didn't know sports cards. He from what I know, he didn't collect as a kid. He does not know the industry. Another reason I would have to say that I think Vegas Dave doesn't know sports cards is his second investment. Now, his first investment, he was told by someone to invest in Mike Trout. His second investment, this was all Vegas Dave's doing. Vegas Dave decided to invest in a guy named Derek Carr. Derek Carr has been in the league. I think his rookie year was 2014, so he's going on his 5th or 6th year. Solid quarterback. I'd put him in the same category as kind of like a Matthew Stafford. I would put him even below kind of a Phillip Rivers kind of long-term outlook on his career. At this point, unless he wins a Super Bowl, I can't see him winning getting to the Hall of Fame. But his investment so far on Derek Carr has not panned out. He has the idea that because of the Las Vegas Raiders and the new city, the new town of new football team in Vegas, all of a sudden this card's just going to go insane. Well, if you know the card industry, you know that's not how it works. A lot of the money that gets pumped into quarterbacks is actually young guys or GOATs like Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, people that are winning Super Bowls. At this point in his career, Derek Carr should be winning, and he hasn't really shown that. I think he's gotten to the playoffs once, possibly twice in his career, without a win in the playoffs. So Vegas Dave does not know the sports card industry. He's not aware, I think, of the collectors. which I'm going to get into later. The number two reason I think, though, going on the number two reason I think Vegas Dave is wrong about the future of the sports card industry is I think there's a conflict of interest there. What happened to the sports card industry when COVID hit, when sports were shut down? All the sports bettors came to the sports card industry. You saw an influx of money that usually was in sports betting go to sports cards. I can tell you this right now. I know some of them. A lot of people that were sports bettors that are now in the sports card industry, they're staying in the sports card industry. They're seeing the long-term gains you can make from the sports card industry as opposed to these coin flips that you do on the sports betting world, where the casinos have it rigged, where it's a coin flip every time, where if you have actual knowledge in sports, you can get that kind of same rush, but also a better outcome long-term in your gains money-wise. So I think that there's definitely a possibility that Vegas Dave sees sports cards as a threat. I mean, think about it. The guy makes money off of people paying him $1,000 a pick. If those people see that they can make more money in the sports card industry, what good is Vegas Dave? So I definitely think a conflict of interest really needs to be considered with what he's saying. Like, what is he really trying to do? Maybe he sees that there is an influx of people moving to the sports card industry and he's trying to get them back. So that's my number two. My number three reason why I do not think the sports card industry is going to crash, and this is probably, I think, the overall number one reason, is people like me and people like you that are probably watching this, collectors. Before 2017, before things really got hot in the sports card market, there was still a market. There was still prices going up long term. There was still seasonal ups and downs based on in-season, off-season, mid-season, and that was basically from collectors. I think what Vegas Dave forgets to realize is those big cards that he says are the ones that are especially are going to take. I think those are the ones that are more bulletproof than anything. And here's why right here. Michael Jordan rookie card, PSA 8. And I'm using this as an example because I actually have this card and I think I know it better than a lot of the other cards. This was a $2,000 card about 4 years ago. I bought it for $2,000 3-4 years ago in 2017. This year it was about, at the beginning of 2020, it was a $4,000 card. COVID hit, it went up to $6,000. As of today, January 28th, it is a roughly $15,000 to $16,000 card. Let's say the market goes up a little bit for the next 6 months, and after that, let's say like 8-12 months, cards start crashing. So if it goes up for the next 6 months, it'll be like, let's say, a $25,000 card. And I don't know if it will. It might only go up $1,000, but let's just say it goes up to $25,000, and then the crash comes, like Vegas Dave is saying. What's going to happen is, because of collectors, what's going to happen when those very iconic and sought after and just really collector-based rare cards, what's going to happen if those drop in value, like Vegas Dave says? Guess what? I'm going to buy them. You're going to buy them. All the collectors that were here prior to 2017, and even some of the ones, give them credit, the newbies, even the ones that are here to say, they're going to buy those cards. That's going to be a huge buying opportunity. You know what's going to happen when we buy them, Dave? We're going to put them in our collection, and we're not going to sell them, because that's what we do. And that's what I think Vegas Dave fails to understand. This market's a lot stronger than he thinks. A little thing like economics, supply and demand. There's only so many of those Mickey Mantle PSA 9s, 5-6 in the world. I guarantee you at least 4 out of the 6 that own them, they're probably owners who will probably keep that card till they die. Maybe 1 or 2 of them will hit the market every couple of years, but anytime someone gets a chance on that, what do you think? It's going to sell for $40,000 when it just sold for $5 million? No, it's probably going to go up. It's all supply and demand. I think he underestimates the power of what sports cards mean to American culture and kids growing up, bicycle spokes. Even me, I'm 31, but I mean, my whole high school was cards. I love it. It'll always be part of me, and I think he just fails to realize that. So collectors, you are the reason this industry will not fail. And for all the new investors coming in, I do think not all cards are immune to a crash. That is one thing. I do think it's going to be the iconic cards and the rare cards. Population is huge, but so you do have to be careful with what you're buying. I will say that, because even if we don't experience a crash in the next couple years, there will be certain markets, certain players that will crash. And that's going to be because of play. It's going to be because of certain type of products that you're investing in, that you're buying, and overpopulation. So you have to be privy to all of these things. And, but there's a ton of information out there nowadays on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram that can really just help you become a better buyer. I kind of said it. Supply and demand. My number 4 was supply and demand. I kind of mentioned that already, but supply and demand is huge when it comes to the sports card industry. The introduction of grading has really, really helped, especially the highly populated cards. But that's all something you got to consider when a crash hits. But at the end of the day, if we ever do, there's going to be dips, there's going to be peaks. But at the end of the day, when there are dips, while the investors are selling, the collectors are buying. And a lot of times when those cards get into the collector's hands, you never see them again. So to me, that's what's going to make the sports card industry, especially the iconic cards that Vegas Dave thinks are going to be the ones that are going to drop. I think that's what's going to keep them going up and up and up even more. Now, when it comes to, I know he said the Tatis card, like 250,000. I do think like that's definitely a card that I think has huge upside, but at the same time, I think it's overvalued right now. I mean, the guy has played 1 year in the league, and his cards are worth more than Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, some Derek Jeter's cards. I just don't think that adds up. So you have to be smart about things. I think if you're new to sports cards though, and you just heard Vegas Dave, say there's going to be a crash, I would just recommend don't get scared. Don't go sell your cards. Just keep doing what you're doing. Just be smart and just keep learning in this hobby. And there's tons of great people in this hobby. I'm willing to help you, and that's honestly what the hobby's all about. So, but anyways, enough rambling. But that's it. The sports card market will not crash. Mark my words. 24 to 36 months, I'll do another video. All right, guys, take care. Bye.